Welcome to the DGD podcast. As always, the NCDGD himself, Robert Reynolds. Juan cannot make it today. Got some prayer arrangements, so fair enough. But look, we're going to talk about the combine and how our Georgia Bulldogs dominated it, and arguably one of the strongest performances, in my opinion, I've ever seen in a combine. And we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about it in detail, guys. We have 14 guys in the combine, so keep that in mind. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, keep in mind the DGD podcast is brought to you by Lots of Rain. Use code DGD at checkout to get 10% off your purchase site-wide. Also, join our Discord, discord.gg/Bones Brigade. Patreon subscriber as well. You get all that intel, patreon.com/DGD podcast. Now, as Patrick says here, the Dawgs Own Indy. And I tell you right now, I think you're right 100%. And we're going to go into a little bit of detail. I want the brigade to get popping. So let's ask this question while things are going and while I explain things. I want you to drop in the comments who had the best combine performance for the Dogs. While y'all do that, keep in mind, we'll talk a little bit about that right there. Get it going while people come in. Listen, 14 guys from Georgia go to the combine in Indy, right, off of a national title in Indy. So the theme to this show obviously is Dawgs Own Indy, because we damn sure do. Just simple enough. That's all I'm going to say. Just simple enough we do. Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, excuse me, Trayvon Walker, right? Channing Tindall, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Jamari Sawyer, Lewis Seen, right? Jake Camarda, Justin Schaefer, George Pickens, right? Just a lot of guys. Zeus, James Cook, right? Ton of guys. And I'm telling you right now, every single one of them dominated when it comes to the combine. There's no question about it. Patrick's already saying Jordan Davis is his number guy, his guy, followed up by Devontae Wyatt. So to answer this question, I'm going to tell you why Trayvon Walker had the best combine. First off, listen, Jordan Davis stole the show, and we're going to talk about this, trust me. But Trayvon Walker made him some money at this combine. There's no question about it. Made some money at this combine. You look at the measurables from this. First off, 6'5", I think it was, 272 pounds, and he ran a low 4.5s, I think. I don't remember the official time, but nonetheless, one of the fastest in the D line. That is stupid. That is absolutely stupid. But then then you go into the vertical. It's ridiculous jumping out of the gym at 272 pounds. He's a freak. He was built for the combine. Out of whatever lab it was, goes to the combine, absolutely dominates, right? You're looking at him as a legitimate threat to go in the top 5. It's just the way it is. There's a very good chance that he goes in the top 5. And if you follow us on Patreon, I dropped a mock draft on Monday, this past Monday, mock draft Monday, version 1, and Trayvon goes number 5 to the Giants. Now, also, I do want to talk about being in the brigade. We're going to talk a little bit about team fits in the NFL for where we see some guys. We'll save that for our Q&A, though. With that being said, though, Michael Dudley says, Tindall and Quay moved their draft stock from late 3rd to probably early 2nd. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Looking at the way this draft is, the needs for the teams and how the draft lays and how deep your defense is in this draft, right? Quarterbacks are weak, right? The cornerbacks, it's a deep class for receivers. It's a deep class for defensive linemen, edge rushers. There's a ton of them that could go in the first round. It's just a great combine. It's a great year to have the great performance for if you're a Georgia Bulldog, because with the team needs that happen right here, with how these guys performed, your draft stock just blew up. So you're making hundreds of thousands, extra millions of dollars, right? But we're going to talk about Jordan Davis because everybody wants to talk about Davis. And I'm not mad about it at all because my man, in my opinion, had the best performance of literally, I think it's historic if you really think about this, because there is no reason why a man 341 pounds should run a 4.78 40. It makes no fucking sense. It makes none. It makes no sense how it happens, but it happens. And really the crazy thing is you're out, and then Devontae White runs a 4.77. So these two guys are the tops at the D line class in regards to 40 time. And Jordan Davis has got 50 pounds on the next guy. Just saying. It's insane. So listen, Jordan Davis, Daniel Jeremiah said it best. The Dogs won a national title, and they just won a combine title too. And it was on full display for the whole country to see it. And that's what we want, because we're going to talk about the recruiting ramifications and the fallout from that. But before we do that, I do want to make a shout out to a special brigadier, Patrick Oliver. Happy birthday, my man, which I think it was yesterday. Happy birthday. And hope you had a good birthday, my man, as we see it in the brigade here. With that being said, though, listen, the recruiting fallout from this is only going to be good things. You lose this narrative. You lose this narrative that Kirby cannot develop. Georgia has, in recent memory, Georgia has not had that great success that you see, D-line getting drafted to the NFL. You just don't, right? That changes this year, period. That changes completely. That narrative, if you try to throw that up, you're going to get laughed out of the conversation. There's no question about it. And you have to look at Trey Scott for one, and also Kirby Smart. It's just the way that is. But when you look at the overall scheme of things, there's no reason to tell me that Kirby didn't develop all of that, right? The coaches that we had, you look at Zeus. Who would have thought Zeus would run a 4.4 flat? Pickens, 4.4 flat. James Cook, 4.42, I believe it is. Lewis Seen, 4.37. Hell, even our fucking punter, fastest special teams player in combine history at 4.57. If you're not telling me that Georgia's performance in the combine wasn't historic, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, because you can't save that. You can't save yourself if you can't believe that. You have a 341-pound man sitting there running a 4.78. Think about that. That's faster than Pat Mahomes. How can you tell me that that's not historic? I think he may not be the heaviest defender ever, right? And the heaviest person in the combine ever. He's damn well up there. But no one that size should be that athletic. That is scary. That is scary. Absolutely scary to think. And look, I'm all for it, because that just means that recruits will see this, and that's going to pay dividends. It's going to pay dividends. That's just the way it's got to be. Patrick says, regardless of combine results, I still say Trayvon drafts first. You're right. Listen, you're going to see a record for Georgia football be broke this year. It's just a matter of where. Because I had four dogs in the first round. First off, you got Trayvon Walker. You got Nakobe Dean. You've got Devontae White. And you've got Jordan Davis. And no particular order there. Not in no order there. But those four. There is a chance, with how well Seen combine performed at the combine, you could see Lewis Seen pop up into the first round. A lot of teams loved him. A lot of teams loved him in the interviews, were blown away by him. And there's even talks of him potentially siding up in that safety in that class over Kyle Hamilton. Some teams may look at that. So there is a good chance that you could see a team in maybe the later half of the first round maybe draft a damn Lewis Seen. You never know. That would be 5, right? Maybe you see the Packers. Think about this, guys. The Packers just coming off of re-signing Aaron Rodgers. The Packers have not drafted a skill position player since 2002 in the first round. Keep that in mind. It has been since 2002. Do your math. Since the Green Bay Packers have drafted a skill position player in the first round. This year, if you listen, Aaron Rodgers has been on record that he wants some help. Get him some help. You can sit there and develop those guys in the middle rounds. That's fine. Get him an elite playmaker. What about Pickens? Pickens to Green Bay makes perfect sense. You're expected to franchise tag Devontae Adams. Fair. Then you got to pay him after next year. What if you don't? Who do you have? I mean, you can always find those middle round guys and develop them like you've been doing, but you're still going to piss your boy Aaron Rodgers off. And if you invested into him for the next 4 years, why don't you get him some help while he's around still? Go George Pickens. 4.4 flat, 6'3", I think it was, is what he measured at. And you know he can sit there and he can stretch the field vertically, and he will go up and he will catch those 50-50 balls that are also over there in Green Bay too. Just would love that though, right? Just would absolutely love it. Patrick also says the best move of the combine was the dean of defense making teams watch the tape instead of watch them perform. Listen, if you don't understand what that means, Nakobe Dean did his interviews, did not test at the combine. What does that mean though? That means teams have to rely on his tape. Nakobe Dean is a tape guy. He is not a shorts and shirt kind of guy. Just not. He relies solely on his instincts. Not solely, I should say. I misspoke. Definitely an instincts guy. That's what puts him in positions to make the plays. He's still fast. He's still athletic. But he's very instinctual. And when you watch the tape, that pops up. You see his speed already. Devin Lloyd, arguably the number one linebacker, and you have him and Nakobe battling for that. 4.71. You sit there and see that right there. They're kind of the same player, but a little bit different, right? What does that mean for Nakobe? That might help Nakobe without even having to do anything. Just might. So, looking at that situation, right? Looking into that situation, Nakobe could have made some money just based off of not doing anything, right? Not doing anything. That could have very well happened. And honestly, I'm all for that, right? I want these guys to get drafted, in the first round. And listen, obviously team needs can dictate where you go. All right, we get that. And that's just the unfortunate aspect of things. You can't have your entire 14-man guy, roster of dogs that went to the combine drafted in the first round. Ideally, I would love it, but you can't. You could, but it's not going to happen. But at the same time, there's a lot of money that was made by these dogs in Indy, and you're going to see it come April when the draft happens. You're going to see Trayvon not sit there wait long. You're going to see Devontae, and you're going to see Jordan Davis not waiting too long. Just saying. I'm just saying. And honestly, you could sit there and see Nakobe Dean wait to the middle to the late rounds, depending on what teams value, right? Everybody knows this quarterback class ain't shit in this draft. It's just not. The trades from the NFL, you're seeing it. You're seeing that the quarterback class is not something that they want. So you're going to load up on defense. And what does that mean? You're faring extremely well if you are the Georgia Bulldogs. You just are. It's a deep receiver class. Offensive lines are strong. You might see Jamari Sawyer fall up in the second round. Could very well happen. You look at the title game, look at the Orange Bowl. He shut down and neutralized Aiden Hutchinson, which is going to go off the board at first or second overall. Watch, just saying, neutralize him, cut him down. You see, Lewis Singh. Everybody questions his coverage ability. The thing about that is, when you run a 4.37 and you see how he can hit, the coverage comes. The coverage can be worked on. People are going to take a fly on that shot right there. People are going to take a shot on that, and that's fine. That's what you want. Georgia speed is real, guys. You hear this. You hear any other team say, Tennessee speed with Velus Jones. Look, that was fast. But when you have 13 guys run and they're all basically at the top, I think. Well, no, Jamari Sawyer, I don't think he ran. Justin Schaefer, I don't know if he ran either. But Jamari Sawyer, bench press reps towards the top. I think he was either second or tied for second in reps. So if you didn't run a 40, you performed everywhere else, and you did it very well. Some of the best bend I've ever seen come from Trayvon Walker, and honestly, looking at Jordan Davis to be that size did that figure 8 towel drill as good as I've ever seen anybody over 320 pounds ever do it. That which is it goes back to it. It is freaky how athletic that man is. It really is. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. But as we sit here, we look at what the NFL wants. NFL is becoming, if you're on defense, you got to have speed. Georgia provides that in all categories, right? All categories. So looking at it right there, Georgia's about to benefit tremendously in this draft, right? If you did not watch the combine for several days, I think it was 3 or 4 days, it was a non-stop Georgia advertisement. I'm all here for it. I am. Because you know what that means? Bring a recruit in. I guarantee you Kirby will sit there and listen to Daniel Jeremiah say, everything that he said. If you listen to the Rich Eisen podcast, he legitimately was just what he saw. He legitimately went on air and was just saying that it was stupid what he saw with Georgia in a good way. And Tanil brings up a comment that I'm about to get onto, and this is going to be fun. The Jets aren't impressed with him. So what she's talking about, I don't know if anybody has seen this. Apparently there was a former Jet scout that was not impressed with Jordan Davis, and he was overrated based off of, his lack of pass rushing, more of a skill or, more of a run blocker, right? When people, if you don't pay attention and you watch the tape, Jordan Davis played at 350, sometimes 360 at points in this year. He was down to 341, expecting to play at 330. There's your athleticism coming back. There's your freakish athleticism. Losing 10 pounds, that means more bend, better cardio. That means he stays on the field. That gives you more chances to get to the pass rusher. Depending on where he goes, you could see, say he goes, I don't know, say he's got an elite pass rusher off the edge, right? He can sit there, eat up space. That's what he's known for. But he can still get to the quarterback. He can bull rush the center. You leave him one-on-one, he's getting to the quarterback if you leave him one-on-one. You have to double team him. There's more value than being a true pass rusher. And I understand that the way the game is now, you have to have this pass rushing ability. Right? Jordan Davis can do that. He can still do that. It may not be, an elite edge rusher type thing. He can still get to the quarterback. He can definitely push the quarterback out of the pocket, collapse in the pocket from within, right above, right dead center, pushing him back and moving him around. There's more value than just pass rushing. Because if I'm not mistaken, there's several teams in the NFL that couldn't stop the fucking run and got beat over and over and over and got ran on over and over and over. The Jets have this guy. The key word here, former. First off, it was the Jets. That was bad. We know the Jets, but you're a former. What? I'm waiting. Like, there's a reason why you're a former scout. Just leaving that there. Every team needs a run blocking D lineman. There's no question about it. You could say he's overrated, but I beg to differ. Because if you sit here and you put him, if you put him on a team, say Chargers, right? Put him on the Chargers. Think about that with Bosa and Khalil Mack, letting them run off the edge, forcing a double team, allowing a one-on-one situation, or with Bosa, or allowing Khalil Mack to run free because you have to sit there and account for Jordan Davis. But does that create value? Because your defense gets astronomically better with that one particular situation. That creates a ridiculous problem for offenses to have to sit here and try to go against. They just do. So the fact that you said he's overrated, I call bullshit on that. You don't, in my opinion, you don't know what you're saying. You may be the professional, but I don't agree with your take because it's not overrated. He's faster than a lot of the quarterbacks that you currently have. Patrick Mahomes, he's faster than. Like, what else do you want? So if you sit, but if you put him on the right team, I'm telling you right now, the value that he will create on that defensive line is astronomical because it allows, especially if you have the right talent around him. If you have pass rushers, if you have good linebackers, right? Like I said, the Chargers is the perfect landing spot. It's the perfect landing spot for Jordan Davis at 17. Period. There's no question. If he gets drafted to San Diego, it will not surprise me for that defense to improve in the run game immediately. And that also impacts the pass game. Period. Patrick also says he's faster than Baker Mayfield too. Exactly. The simulcast that the NFL Network does was really interesting because you put him up against Baker and Patrick Mahomes, and he walked him down, and he was ahead in front. Boom, there you go. He can get after the quarterback. He's athletic enough to do it. Period. It's just the way that's going to be. Anyways, with that being said, look, you also, everybody wanted to see Jordan Davis. He stole the show. But his counterpart, Devontae Wyatt, also had a really, really good showing, right? Really good showing. So overall, the entirety of the combine, like I said, was just dominated by Georgia. Now, there were several good, there was a lot of good talent there. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. But when you hear teams, when you hear people the whole time, the analysts and things like that, they had nothing but good things to say about Georgia, and it was a lot of what they talked about. And Patrick says, "Fuck up Baker Mayfield." By the way, fair enough. If you're curious, getting a statue put in Norman for him, so that's interesting too. So with that being said, though, to wrap this up, if you did not watch the combine, understand this: the Dawgs Own Indy this year, period. You win a national title, and you arguably win a combine title, if you wanted to call that national championship, combine national championship, as Daniel Jeremiah said. That's going to translate to a lot of money being made for Georgia. It's going to have an impact in recruiting. Kirby's going to keep all those little clips. He's going to keep them, and I would not be surprised if he throws it and puts it out there for every single recruit coming to visit. He's gonna put it up in the house of pain. We know this. We just know it. With that being said, though, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and tune back in on the next episode. Stick around. We're gonna do a Q&A. So stick around, and we're gonna talk a little bit about our NFL team fits. We're gonna continue with that. So with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Go Dogs. And we are back. All right, Brigade. While we are here, make sure to like this video, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you like this. It's time to talk team fits. Obviously, you just heard my prediction for Jordan Davis. I think the best fit for him is going to be it's going to be San Diego, period. Bear with me, guys. I will be right back. And we are back. My apologies for that, folks. My apologies. But as I was saying, the team fits, right? If you're watching in the brigade, type a player, and I will tell you their team fit, in my opinion. While we do that, though, I do want to bring up the mock draft. Listen, with all the stuff going on in the NFL and all the free agency and all this other stuff, this mock draft is completely blown to shit, is all I'm going to say, period. Patrick's asking Tanil, what was her favorite part of the combine? Tanil, response. So I'm going to pull this up right here, do this right here. Look, so if we look for the Dogs, my first one in this first mock draft, Trayvon Walker to the Giants. Listen, we'll talk more about this right here, but you have Trayvon to the Giants, and then you have, moving on down, Jordan Davis to the Chargers, as I mentioned. Nakobe Dean to the Patriots. Devontae Wyatt to the Bills. George Pickens to the Packers. Now, with that being said, let's see. So Tanil did respond back. She watched the 40s. Fair enough. Listen, that's always the fun part. That is always the fun part. So if we don't have any folks typing in players that they want to see, obviously that was just a first round mock draft. I'll start with Trayvon, and listen, Trayvon could be a top 5 pick. I think he will be a top 5 pick. It will surprise me if he is not. Looking at Trayvon, I think there's an argument for him to go at 3 to Houston. But there's also, the Giants where I have him at 5. Depending on the Jets and the team needs, I think there's a little bit different situation there. Listen, Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to be going to Detroit. I think Detroit wants to bring that hometown kid there, right? You look at number 1 overall, right? And then with number 1, having the Jaguars. Listen, the Jaguars, it just makes sense for Jacksonville to protect their future. And that's Trevor Lawrence. So getting a tackle at that position, offensive tackle, it makes sense. I can't complain about that. But Houston, you can sit there. You lose J.J. Watt to Arizona. You have Deshaun Watson, and you have him, right? So there's a lot of things that you can sit there and go for. But getting an edge rusher to try to replace the production that J.J. Watt left there, it's going to be tricky. And I think, obviously you're going to have this discussion of whether Trayvon or Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon is going to be that guy, right? I think either one is fine ultimately, but I think they just go with Kayvon. Now, Kayvon arguably was a number 1 pick coming into this combine. So, well, I wouldn't say that. I guess you could say definitely a top 5 pick, maybe even going to Detroit. But I think as things progress, the season progressed, I think Aiden Hutchinson kind of solidified that number 2 spot just proximity-wise, in my opinion. I think it's a little bit of that. Obviously, like I said, Jamari Sawyer did kind of shut him down. So we did do that. But, listen, 3 and 5, I think he goes 3 or 5. Now, the key here, and I will bring this back up just to kind of prove a point, the Giants, if he falls at 5, right? If he falls at 5, you really have to sit here and look at Panthers. The Panthers at 6 are the X factor here because this is where somebody could trade back trade with the Panthers, move up to 6. Say, for instance, Trayvon or the Giants. The Giants draft Ike Ekwonu or something like that, right? If they draft an offensive tackle, right? They need help. So if they draft an offensive tackle or anybody outside of a defensive edge rusher like Trayvon, who somebody could draft in at 6 and come and take that edge rusher, could take Trayvon at 6. Or the Panthers could stay put and draft Trayvon at 6. Who knows? But they need a quarterback, which is why you see Kenny Pickett here, which that'll change. However, 6 is the X factor. So it's all a matter of how the Giants feel. Do they feel like do they want Trayvon enough? Because they have 5 and 7. Does somebody sit there and trade with the Panthers to take whoever they don't? That defense in New York is built by Aziz. It's built by Lorenzo. Tay Crowder is a big factor in that defense. It is a Georgia ran defense halfway. Like, you've got 3 starters that are all Georgia Bulldogs. You have Andrew Thomas over there as well. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, and I have them picking 5 because I do believe if the Panthers want to draft a quarterback, they can trade back, get capital, trade back, because ain't no quarterback, in my opinion, going to go in the top 10 after that first mock draft. I just don't see it anymore. They could trade back and take somebody up. That mock draft also doesn't have trades implemented. So with that being said, right, that's one thing to know. It's very interesting to see what could happen at 5 and 7. 5 through 7 is going to be interesting. And, maybe is it possible? Is it possible? If Trayvon does not get selected, could the Atlanta Falcons at 8, could they draft a Georgia player? Could they do it? In my opinion, listen, it's been known that the Falcons, for some reason, do not draft Georgia Bulldogs. It is literally it's the Atlanta Crimson Tide. Really, that's what they do. You need a receiver for Calvin Ridley and his betting problem, apparently, whatever that whole fiasco was about. You have huge holes on the defense. Now is the time. If this year does not prove anything, if I do not see an Atlanta Falcons draft pick claiming a Georgia Bulldog, it just proves my point that the Atlanta Falcons do not care for the Georgia Bulldogs. Listen, all you got to do is draft a Georgia Bulldog, and I guarantee a lot of Georgia fans are going to turn into a damn Atlanta Falcons fan. Now, a lot of people hate the Falcons too, but you've got a good shot, right? You've got a good shot. There's so much talent from Georgia coming out that you have the 8th pick. If Trayvon falls at 8, if you don't pick him up, you have done the unthinkable. Period. And obviously, like Patrick is saying right here, he likes Pickens as a dirty bird if Atlanta goes receiver. I don't see him going first-round receiver. But you know what? Actually, I stand corrected. If they go receiver first round, they're getting Drake London if he's there. That's what they're going to do. Watch. That's what they're going to do. They're going to hit a team need, but they're going to get the best available. If they wait till round 2, George Pickens is that guy if he's there. I tell you that now. If Trayvon Walker is still there at 8 and they don't pick him, laugh the Falcons out of the fucking draft. Period. Just do it. Because you just missed on a generational type talent. You've done it before and you continue to do it again. Just saying. So if he's there and you don't draft him, the entire NFL could sit back in a few years and come look at you and say, what the fuck were you thinking? Because I guarantee you're going to draft somebody that ain't going to be worth the fuck. Just what's going to happen. No, and Patrick, you're absolutely right. I think it would generally improve the fan morale. It really would. It really would. With that being said, though, look, like I said, I think Devontae Wyatt going to Buffalo would be a perfect fit because they need help on that defense, just stopping in general. Devontae Wyatt can sit there and do both. He can do both. Patriots with Nakobe Dean. It makes sense. Bill Belichick loves him some Alabama, loves him some Georgia. You need a general in the middle of that defense, And Nakobe Dean is that. You could also see him go to the Cowboys potentially, depending on how things fall. Could see that, right? Who knows? I think honestly though, the Chiefs might be an interesting pick for Lewis Cine. Because if Tyrann Mathieu does not come back, you've got to find a safety. And I guarantee you, Kyle Hamilton will be way past gone. He will be more than gone at this time. Lewis Cine could pop in and take over that spot right there and be in the first round, depending on how things go. Now, they could also look at, maybe look at an offensive tackle, right, to help Pat Mahomes, whatever the case may be. But if you're having to replace a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, get a fast 4.37 running thumper that can still cover in Lewis Cine. All right, folks, we're going to call it a wrap for today. Tune back in Monday. Should have a really good show. So stick around for that. Listen, if you haven't, make sure to like, follow if you're on Facebook, subscribe if you're on YouTube, do whatever, but make sure you hit the thumbs up because it helps with the algorithms here on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. It's going to get more people involved. We're going to have good conversation and discussion like we do every show. With that being said, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Go Dogs.